Okay, so I figured I would just make a video about what it is to make Allstate, how to do it, and what kind of a scale of competition we're talking about. And that way I can send this link out to everyone instead of needing everyone to be in the same place at the same time on a Zoom meeting. So I hope this helps. If you can refer to this, and I'll use this in the future as well. So how to make Allstate. The state of Texas is broken up into 33 regions. And this year, the region alignment is how it shows here. The larger regions are just ones with fewer schools and fewer competitions. So they split up the regions to um, to reflect how many people in that area are auditioning for Allstate. So when you get to DFW, you'll notice that all of these regions are super, super tiny distance-wise because these are heavily populated audition locations. The DFW area has tons and tons of schools doing the Allstate process, as opposed to in the Odessa area where you might only have a school for 100 miles. So they divide it equally by people, how many people are auditioning. So within these 33 regions, rounds 1 through 3 are held at the regional level. So all three of rounds 1, 2, and 3 are going to be in within our region against the same people. We'll narrow down the same kids in your region without adding any other regions until round 4, which is the final round determining who is an All-Stater. So rounds 1, 2, and 3 are just our region. So we exist in Region 30 in the state of Texas. That's what our region looks like. There we are. Um, Our region includes all of those independent school districts: Alida, Alvarado, Azle, Brock, Burleson, Castleberry, you name it. We're all down there, and there's Keller right in the middle. Um, in middle school, when you make the region choir, what they're saying is this is the region. All the middle schools in the region you're looking at are competing to be in the middle school region choir. It's one round in middle school. And depending on what voice part you are, they'll break you up into different rooms so that they don't have too many kids in the soprano 2 room or something. Break up into different rooms so there will be like 3 first chairs in one voice part because there's different rooms for each voice part. But at the high school realm, this region is just a precursor to a larger picture. It doesn't end at region like it does in middle school. So here's our region. That's what the map looks like. And those blue flags are all the school districts in the region. So the way it looks, the way the Allstate process looks is round 1 has 4 new pieces the kids haven't seen. Round 2 has 3 new pieces and sight reading. And round 2 will determine who sings in a region choir. And so it's kind of a halfway point to the Allstate process. And there's different region choirs that depend on which chair you got. Higher chairs are in the region mixed choir, and then lower chairs are in the next tier, and that might change this year because of the schedules with the pandemic, but we'll get there in a sec. So round 1 has a set of pieces, round 2 has a new set of pieces, and you have to sight read in order to advance. There's a region choir concert in the middle of that, and then round 3, there are an additional 3 new pieces and new sight reading in order to advance out of round 3. So whereas in the middle school process, you have one set of pieces, maybe 3 or 4 pieces that you audition on, in high school, it's a very large set of pieces, and at every round, you get a new set. So within your region, you get to pick a voice part. Soprano 1 is the highest, soprano 2 is the next highest, alto 1, alto 2, so on and so forth, with bass 2 being the lowest. In high school, Mr. Kirtley or myself, I pick which voice part you do, and it does not have to do with what voice part you sing in middle school. Soprano 1 in high school is such a different thing, but also in high school it's less much so how what your range is, and more so how you can be most competitive. So some people might sing soprano 1 in my choir at school, But for Allstate, they'll compete on alto one because that's where they're the most competitive. It doesn't mean they can't sing high notes well. It just means the goal is to make Allstate. The goal is not to sing pretty high notes or to sing great low notes. If you are a tenor in my choir, that does not mean you have to audition as tenor one or tenor two for Allstate. Sometimes it means Mr. Kirtley says your best chance of making Allstate is doing this voice part. It does not change your identity. But so, anyways, you pick a voice part, and then you only compete against people within that voice part the entire process. Soprano ones will never compete against alto ones, so on and so forth. So here we go. Starting the process, you'll have about 80 people in the soprano one room, sometimes more, sometimes less, about 100 people in the soprano two section, about 80 people competing for alto one, and so on down the list. That's pretty much how it lays out on average. If you move on, so starting the process is not many people actually auditioning at round one. At round one, they narrow down all the people who auditioned within that room. They would narrow down each room to 36 people. That's how it was done last year. Sometimes that's subject to change, but as of right now, in June of 2020, that 80, that soprano one room will go down in one round from 80 people down to 36 people. That's a big cut for soprano twos. Very competitive. That's 100 people down to 36. Then you move on to like maybe you're a tenor one or a tenor one or an alto two or something. Like tenor one, they're only making a cut from 40 people to 36 people. But the idea is at round one, you sing 4 pieces of music, and they will take your room and narrow it down to 36 people. Those 36 people get to audition at round two. If you're not top 36, then the journey for Allstate is over for you. Round two, they take 36 people in each room, those same 36 from round one. They audition on a new set of music and they sight read, and the top 12 chairs from that 36 get to move on. So we started at say we're starting at soprano two, had 100 people audition in round one. At round one, they narrowed it down to 36. Round two, they take those 36 people, they narrow it down to 12, the top 12. And then you'll see at the bottom, the region mixed choir is chairs 1 through 14, determined by round two. And last year, the district treble was chair 15 through 36, district treble. And then the 9th and 10th graders that don't advance into, that don't advance to the top 12 chairs, or they don't make it into the district treble choir if they're a girl, then they're in the 9-10 honor choir automatically. And that's a separate contest, but just know that the point of round two is to determine which choir you're in at the region level. And if you are in the top 12, you move on to round three. Round three, they take those same top 12 singers from each voice part and they narrow it down to the top 5 people in each voice part. These top 5 candidates are our Region 30 candidates. So the whole point of the region is to narrow down these hordes of kids. We started with all these kids, and we narrow each voice part down to our region's best 5 people. So for soprano 2, by round 3, they are taking the top 5 singers out of all of these districts, top 5 singers of all these districts, and they're sending them to the last round in order to hopefully make Allstate. So those top 5 candidates. So what happens when you get to round 4? What does the Allstate room look like? Well, they broke up the state into areas. So there's a region, which is, our place, our region 30. If you make it to round 4, you're competing against all of the regions in area B. So at area B, at round 4, we've got region 30 with these school districts. We will be met with the top 5 candidates from region 31, which is those school districts, region 5, which is those school districts, and region 24, which is those school districts. This area is the wealthiest the wealthiest area with the kids taking the most voice lessons, and driving the nicest cars. This is a highly competitive area, and it's the wealthiest overall area in the state. And so it's just really competitive because we've got all these Keller schools in Region 30 and all these nice country homes out there. And then Region 5, Arlington ISD, and Grand Prairie has their fine arts magnet, and then Mansfield ISD has huge big cars, and then all the Fort Worth ISD. So we're talking IM Terrell and um, Pentatonics came from Arlington ISD. So this is a big region. And then Region 24, we're talking all that super North Dallas. This is Frisco. Frisco's popular bunch of schools, wealthy, and McKinney ISD and Prosper ISD, Little Elm. And then this one right here, this is a big region. Region 31 has Birdville, South Lake Carroll, Carrollton Farmers Branch, Capel ISD, Grapevine Colville. HEB has some amazing singers and amazing choir programs in Irving ISD. All of these regions come together at Area B to compete at round 4. What that looks like is, well, Region 30 has their top 5 people from each voice part competing against also the top 5 in Region 31 in each voice part, also the top 5 in Region 5, also the top 5 in Region 4. So each room has 20 people per voice part. So soprano 1 has 20 people, 5, 5, 5, 5, okay? And at our area, just like that, when it's all together, there's our area. At our area, for girls, they take the soprano and alto, each region's top 5 singers. They narrow down those 20 people, and chairs 1 through 3 out of those 20, chairs 1 through 3 are in the All-State Mixed Choir. Chairs 4 through 9 are in the All-State Women's Choir. Chairs 11 through 20 are not an All-Stater. So remember that for, like, if you're a soprano 2, these top 5 singers are a combination, are the narrowed down top 5 from 100. So when you see these 20 people here, 5, 5, 5, 5, these 20 people are coming from a group of 400 soprano 2s. They take 400 soprano 2s in our area, narrow them down to these 20. So 400 down to 20. And then to make the All-State Mixed Choir, they're saying that you are the top 3 singers out of 400 soprano 2s in the area. And the women's choir is chairs 4 through 9, the top 9 singers out of 400 soprano 2s in the area. Last year, because they give us how many chairs make All-State, they give us chairs by how many people enrolled in the process. So the last 2 years, we had more people in our area enroll in the process. So it used to be 4 people were in the mixed choir. It was chairs 1 through 4, but now it's 1 through 3 because our area's enrollment went lower. To make All-State as a tenor or a bass, you have to so they take that group of top 5 from each voice part in each region. So you're competing against 20 people in your voice part room at area. Chairs 1 through 3 are in mixed, and chairs 4 through 7 are from men. They have fewer men make it than women because they give chairs based off of enrollment in the process, and there's fewer men that enroll in the process. So All-State is a very big deal. You're saying that you're the top 9 singers in this entire Fort Worth, Mid-Cities, and North Dallas area. Timber Creek last year had, in 2020, we had the first chair baritone Xavier Bailey. The second chair alto 2 was Madeline Schaffelbein. We had the I can't remember if it was 6th or 7th chair. I think it was 6th chair alto 1, Rachel Merritt, and the 3rd chair baritone as Parker Davis. And, they got those super high chairs at this last round, and that's what it takes out of our whole program. There are years where schools don't get any All-Staters, and there are years where we do get All-Staters. It's just a really difficult process. So Team EA, these are the different areas. I said there's areas where area B, right there, regions 5, 24, 30, 31. So once you advance out of area, the soprano one room in the mixed choir is not going to be three people. It says chairs 1 through 3. Those are just three people that we're sending to be in to sing in the All-State Mixed Choir from our area. Those three people. Those three people at All-State, once they've made it past round 4, those three people are met from the top chairs in all of these areas. So area A has their chairs 1 through 3. Area B has their chairs 1 through 3. Area C, so on and so forth. So the soprano 1 section is the combination of all those people. Here's a chart. It's kind of difficult to look at first, but I'll help you organize your thoughts. So this is how they give chairs a chart to show how many people in each voice part are singing in the All-State Mixed Choir. And remember, they give how many chairs at each area based off of how many people in that area enrolled in the process. So some areas have more chairs in the All-State Choir than others. So if you're a soprano 1 and you live in area A, then 2 of you will be in the mixed choir. So they have 2 soprano 1s from area A, 3 soprano 1s from area B, 4 soprano 1s from area C, 3 soprano 1s from D, 3 from E, 4 from F, 4 from G, 5 from H. This is a huge choir. The All-State Mixed Choir soprano 1 section is 28 of the best soprano 1s in the state of Texas. So that's just soprano 1. Then you add that to the 28 best soprano 2s, 28 best alto 1s, and so forth. It's the 28 people, best people in each voice part in the state of Texas. Together, the mixed choir is 229 singers. That's a huge choir of really amazing voices that all narrowed it down. Then in pink, you'll see the number of people in each voice part in the women's choir. 42 soprano 1s in the women's choir, 42 soprano 2s, 42 alto 1s, so forth. And blue, circled in blue, is the number of people in the men's choir. 28 tenor 1s, 28 tenor 2s, 28 bass 1s, 28 bass 2s. So the total number of people in the men's choir, in the women's choir, is 168 singers, all who made that second tier group at round 4, and the men's choir is 112 singers. And these are the 3 all-state ensembles. If you go to a small school, so 4A or smaller, then you're in a different all-state choir.